Good morning, good evening, and welcome to World of Warships Legends. I am your host, the Sailing Robin, and for this episode of How It's Done, we are updating the format a bit. Instead of only showcasing the gameplay of the reviewed ship, we will now be going over more details regarding chosen commanders, builds, battle tactics, and decision making during the game, and much more. Hopefully you will enjoy the format, so let's go over the details of today's feature, the Tier 5 Premium Russian Cruiser Makarov. Tier 5 Makarov boasts the following stats: 27,000 hit points with an armor ranging from 13 to 100 mm. The main battery consists of 9 150 mm guns arranged in 3 triple turrets. Their firing range is 16.3 kilometers with a reload time of 5.4 seconds. Makarov embarks torpedoes, 2 triple launchers, 1 on each side. The ship can reach 34.2 knots, has a 6.1 second rudder shift time with a 720 meter turning circle radius. For its concealment, 11 kilometers by sea and 7.3 kilometers by air are the ranges at which Makarov will be spotted. Now, with all these stats in mind, let's break down our build for the ship. Aiming system, modification 1 for the first slot and steering gears modification 2 for the second. Our commander, Nikolai Kuznetsov, runs the following skills: Burn It Down XXL, Igniter, Velocious, Fixated, and Refill Station as legendary skill. Makarov essentially shares the same playstyle as Nürnberg, while the ship loses both a bit of sonar range and the catapult fighter consumable, as well as a few torpedo tubes compared to her prior German identity. Makarov compensates by having a more furnished anti-air suit. The game we are about to review is as action-packed as it is hard-fought, so we hope that you enjoy the show. And without further ado, let's take the Makarov to battle. And here we begin on the map Trap Domination Mode. We spawned on the western part of the map, near Objective A. And before we continue, let's have a quick look at the matchmaking. It is pretty standard, though the enemy team has 1 additional battleship, while our team benefits from having 1 more cruiser. All Tier 5 except our friendly Hood and the enemy Sinop, both at Tier 6. With that said, our goal for this game will be to use our great rate of fire and range to harass any targets we can see, preferably from the cover of an island. This game also starts on a very high note, as our friendly Fubuki here is going to oblige with our request to lay down a smokescreen. This will allow us to push in towards the cap just a bit more and provide supporting fire would there be any enemy destroyers in the area. Naturally, if you sit in your smoke, it is always a good idea to use your sonar to prevent being caught off guard by an almost inevitable torpedo salvo. And just like clockwork, the first enemy is sighted. California is well within our range and we can start raining down fire, although, if you pay attention, Objective A is currently being captured by the enemy, meaning that an enemy destroyer is definitely around, and yes, Hatsuharu is briefly spotted, just enough for us to send 1 salvo, which hits and resets the cap. With the Hatsuharu now invisible to us, we train our guns back on California. One important note is that the Makarov benefits from an increased HE penetration, same as most German cruisers from Tier 4 and up. This means that we will not be shattering as much as other cruisers with similar caliber. Something to keep in mind while facing or fighting with these type of cruisers. As you can see, with no other targets around, we are trying to shoot in the Hatsuharu smokescreen in order to reset the cap. Our friendly Fubuki played it a bit safe and fell back ever so slightly, though we decided to push forward and see if we can make the last few seconds of our sonar worth. Though, let's take a look at the minimap. We can see that the enemy team has made a successful push through C and has already sunk one of our cruiser, though our team is currently capturing B uncontested. While we get ready to create some distance with California, the enemy Hatsuharu is spotted again. This is a perfect occasion for us to take care of that destroyer, though the California has eyes on us, and we have to take evasive maneuvers. That means cutting the engine and turning out to give us the best chances of dodging that salvo, which we do quite successfully. I have around 30 seconds before California is able to fire again, so I can take my time and punish that Japanese destroyer. Our friendly battleship also joins in and takes a massive chunk out of the Hatsuharu's HP. The destroyer tries to smoke up and hide behind the island, though we are able to sink it in time. Back to California, I have to pay close attention to its guns and be ready to turn when they fire. Makarov does not have any armor to repel battleship AP, even at top tier, so the best course of action is either not get shot at or be ready to throw off the enemy's aim with skillful maneuvering. We have set a few fires on the enemy battleship, although California is still quite healthy and is also still pushing for cover. Our Fubuki is going to get a bit too close and get itself spotted, which in a way is going to distract California, allowing us to keep firing at it unpunished. Little did I know that there was not only one enemy Hatsuharu in the A-cap, but two of them, the latter which just got spotted. With California now unable to get a firing angle on me, I am happily going to push back towards the cap and, hopefully, catch the enemy destroyer off guard. I am pinging the minimap to inform my teammates before I make my move, which could be quite risky considering there are two additional battleships in the vicinity. Though it seems to be quite worth it since we are able to spot Hatsuharu and will gladly open fire on it. At this range, the Japanese destroyer does not have a lot of options. We are knocking out its engines, preventing it from getting away, and it's only a matter of time before we are able to score our second ship sunk this game, 2 destroyers no less. But this game has really only just begun. With this area now cleared of enemy destroyers, our Fubuki should be able to capture A uncontested, all the while having 3 battleships for it to destroy. We, on the other hand, are not letting our guns cool down, as we try to get as many shells on the enemy primal before it sails out of range. I am fully aware that an enemy destroyer is right in front of me, though I do get caught off guard when I realize that the friendly cruiser at the same location just got taken out by it. I also have to make sure not to take any torpedoes, all the while dodging the primal's return fire. And by the time I do all that, the enemy destroyer has reconcealed already. But I am not forgetting about it, even less so that I am still steaming directly towards its last known location to see if I can either catch it or prevent it from threatening our Fubuki at A. All this time I have also been focusing on the primal in order to set a permanent fire on it, though as soon as the enemy destroyer is spotted, the tier 5 Guider, I instantly turn my attention to it. Sonar is active, but before I can even land a salvo, our second friendly Fubuki, the one responsible for capturing Bravo early on, takes out the Guider with one well-placed torpedo. That leaves us with the enemy Nürnberg, heavily damaged by its prior fights around the sea cap. With no other immediate threats, we engage the enemy cruiser to try and take it out while we can. At longer ranges, especially against a nimble target such as a cruiser, the rather floaty ballistics of the Makarov guns asks us to correct our aim a few salvos in before we can land the first hits. Time is also of the essence, as this enemy Nürnberg is currently engaging our friendly destroyer, and I am trying my best to assist. Unfortunately, we are unable to protect our Fubuki and it gets destroyed, though we are able to avenge it as the enemy Nürnberg sinks from our sustained fire just shortly after. I have been taking a few salvo from the A point, coming from the various battleships still there, although my focus is going to turn towards the enemy Sinop, currently capturing the C zone. Sinop is a very dangerous target, especially by being the top tier of this game and also by being very healthy still. Our friendly Hood though is coming around the corner and seems determined to take up a fight with that Russian battleship. We will be escorting to try and support and see if we can ambush the Sinop with a few torpedoes. The element of surprise gets denied by Sinop's fighter planes, but at this point we are committed. Using the Hood as a distraction, I get ready to send my first set of torpedoes and directly switch side to use the second one after getting a bit closer. That is the initial plan, even if this could be my last. Sinop overmatches almost every plating of armor on my ship, and it could very well destroy me in one salvo. It looks like our friendly Hood is attempting a ram, possibly by being low HP. I am trying to get her to cancel that attempt and get back, as I am confident the both of us can destroy Sinop, though it is too late, and after a couple of torpedo hits, Sinop goes down as well as our Hood by a mutual ram. At least I am now able to capture C and maintain the cap control over the map as the enemy team is preparing to capture A. It is now a 3 versus 3, even if by the looks of it our Bayern is not doing too good. The only real advantage we have are points, cap, and the fact that we still have a destroyer while the enemy team only has battleships, one of which gets destroyed by the Fubuki. Meanwhile, I am about to enter the sea cap when I spot the heavily damaged Primal. I instantly engage in hope of destroying the enemy battleship before it can retaliate, but that will prove to be very greedy. Primal does not fall for the engine cut bait and lands a big hit on us, incapacitating our engine. The second salvo lands just short, but a few stray shells still score hits, removing the vast majority of the HP we had. This could have been the end right here, but let's call it luck and send the Primal to the bottom of the sea. 4 ships sunk, high caliber achievement, but there is still one enemy ship afloat, and that is the enemy Bayern. I need to take the time to capture the sea zone before I can try and assist our Fubuki. Our friendly Bayern went down while we were fighting Primal, and now it's only the two of us versus that German battleship. A few more seconds for the cap, and I am quite confident we can play our cards right. There is plenty of island cover between us and Bayern, and we also have the luxury of having the Fubuki spotting for us, so the goal is to tuck in, safe behind cover, and wait for the Bayern to push into our sustained fire. Sea cap is secure, let's put that plan to the test. Fubuki could just wipe out the Bayern in one well-placed torpedo salvo, but at the same time, our friendly destroyer took substantial damage in previous fights. One mistake could be the last, and that would be a big issue. The Bayern is also very healthy still, and there is no way for us to contest the cap before it gets turned red. We are almost in range, and I am itching to start firing as soon as possible. The sooner we start laying thick HE fire on Bayern, the sooner it has a chance to go down and grant us the victory we fought so hard to get. With our commander, Mr. Kuznetsov, we benefit from a very nice 16.3 kilometers of range, so Bayern is indeed under fire rather quickly. We are not going to be very lucky with the fire chance on these initial salvos, although the increased penetration of our guns does grant us substantial amount of damage. Although, as Bayern is getting close to the B cap, firing accurately on it is proving to be more and more difficult as the central island is now in the way. We can still lob our shells over, but our targeting really is suboptimal. We achieved the Confederate medal. It is true that we have been firing at a lot of enemy ships throughout this battle, but things are far from over. Bayern attempts to fire back at my overall location, hopefully misses as the shells cannot quite get past my cover, but some get really close, and unfortunately our Fubuki is going to lose sight of the battleship, making the situation a bit concerning. Although if you have been paying attention, the salvo Bayern shot was high explosive, so with Fubuki possibly trying to get an ambush going on, I decide to be the cannon fodder and risk it by pushing out of cover and creating a diversion, allowing the Fubuki to send an accurate torpedo volley. I bet on the fact that I can survive an HE salvo from the rather inaccurate German battleship. It is a risky bet, but even if I go down, I have hope our Fubuki would still be able to finish off a single battleship. Bayern does take its shot at us for minimal damage, and we survive with now our full gun strength and firing again. Though it seems Fubuki got too close and the Bayern can spot it, secondaries are firing, which means our friendly destroyer is exposed indeed. We set a few permanent fires on the Bayern and Fubuki landed a torpedo. The battleship is for sure going to sink now, though not before it sends one last salvo and takes out our Japanese destroyer. Meanwhile, we are able to cut line of sight and the Bayern burns down from our fires, finally settling the score of this game with a victory. The end results do not disappoint. Over 150,000 points of damage dealt, a combined 15,000 XP earned, and more than 700,000 credits gained. We achieved Confederate, High Caliber and Kraken Unleashed out of 337 shells, 2 torpedoes and 13 fires, sinking 5 ships in the process. 3600 base XP, shortly followed by both our Fubukis, which have been pivotal in the success of this game by providing crucial spotting and capturing throughout the battle. I sincerely hope that this was a good example of how Makarov can be commanded. This episode of How It's Done is coming to an end. I hope you enjoyed the format, so please leave your comment, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to our channel, and I will see you next time, hopefully for another commented episode of How It's Done. Take care, legends, and turn the tide.